Alrighty. How you doing, folks? Ron Raymond here from the Raymond Report for Friday. I was going to say a Thursday there, but we're a Friday, September 4th. Hopefully you guys are having yourself a good start to your long weekend. As always, don't forget, guys, if you do enjoy this show, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel by tapping that notification bell in the top right-hand corner. I'm always joined here by my co-host and good buddy, Ross Benjamin from rbwins.com. How you doing for a Friday, Ross?
I'm doing great, Ron. How about yourself, buddy?
Yeah, you know what? Day ends in Y, sun came up, and, we got NFL football coming next week, and we'll start gearing up towards that. But, no, looking forward to a couple of Game 7s today in NHL. Hey, as a Toronto Raptor fan, how do you not like that buzzer beater yesterday? And great basketball game in that one.
That was like, I mean, you got to make that like one of the 10 most incredible finishes in any sport over the last decade. You know, I mean, the scenario was just unbelievable. Kemba Walker making a great play on that assist for a dunk with 0.5 seconds to go. Toronto takes a timeout, gets the ball over half court. They throw a cross-court pass over a 7'6" guy that's guarding the inbounds play, and the guy's wide open. How does that happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's great for Toronto fans. Look, I had the Celtics as my 10-star top play yesterday, plus 2.5. So I was okay with that because I certainly didn't want overtime. But I never anticipated seeing that. That's incredible, Ron. What an incredible finish. And Toronto, they got up, they had 1 foot in the grave, down 2-0. They don't make that play. They're down 3-0 in the series. Now all of a sudden they're alive.
Yeah, no, they're comparing that shot a bit to the Kawhi shot, but you can't compare a Game 7 shot to a Game 3 shot, right?
No, exactly.
From last year. But, hey, you know what? They needed something. They needed to, and I talked about it many times, the style that Boston plays does not fit well for the Toronto Raptors, and they made some adjustment yesterday. They had one thing with Toronto, with the Boston, they're keeping it close. They're giving themselves a chance. They're not getting that breathing room that they normally get in games. But hey, you got to credit the Boston Celtics, just like the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat, they're playing really good basketball right now. And don't look now, but the top-seeded team is down 0-2, and they're in the same spot Toronto was in yesterday. They could be facing 0-3, and we know if you're 0-3 in any playoff sport, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you know what? It was the first time in NBA history that a number 1 and a number 2 seed were down 2-0 in a series in the same conference, because Toronto had been down 2-0 going into yesterday, and then Milwaukee, now down 2-0 as well. So,
hey, and we're in a COVID era, and this is where fans now, you can see where fans do play a bit of a role when they're not, if we're in Toronto and those fans are there for Toronto, and Milwaukee, those fans are there maybe from a psychological point of view. There's a bit of a difference. I don't know, maybe perhaps, but that's the only thing I can think of from a fan.
You know what? It's an equal playing field for both teams, though. You got to look at it like that, Ron. Your point's well taken, but at the same token, Boston's up 2-0, and they would have been at home for that game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yesterday, but the first two 0-2,
Yeah, but they were blowouts. It's not – well, no, they weren't. The second game wasn't. You're right, Ron. Yeah, so, they could have came away with that 1-1 at least.
I know one thing. I'm going to be sweating out that Islanders ticket.
Oh, man. I'm telling you. Outshot them tremendously yesterday. It's just the way playoff hockey is. You get to overtime, anything could happen. You're 3-3 in a series, and all 3 losses in overtime.
Yeah. And how do you feel? Was it Lee that his stick snapped there trying to make a pass, and then they turn it over?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if that's if that's me, I'm calling up the stick factory and saying, you know what, our contract is over.
Yeah, especially if you end up losing the series because of that.
So pretty good day yesterday, Ross. I went 2-1 with my baseball sessions. I didn't touch NBA or NHL. I'm at that point now where I'm going to be very nitpicky, selecting my games. I might take a look at the Laker Rockets game tonight. I like the value on Houston, but the thing I don't like is that one day's rest. I just wish they'd had a couple more days rest, because look at Denver, right? They went right at it, and look what happened to the
coming off a 7-game series,
Yeah. So trying to match that intensity. Now we're going to take a look at the SBI. I'm going to do a screen share with you here, Ross. Take a look at it, see how the favorites, see if we're going to have to call seal test again today. And
yeah, they did well again yesterday.
yeah, not a bad day. 5-3. They are now looking at the 3-day average, Ross. 67.7% of the favorites have come in the last 3 days. 24 and let me see here, 6, 8, 11, 24 and 11 for the favorites the last 3 days. And looking at the over-unders on the 7-day average, 55.7. And when you compare that to the 1 month average, 52.8. So over-unders, very balanced. 4-4 yesterday, 6, 7, and 1. We had a couple of days where the overs had a bit of a run here. But I still think, I'm not getting off the favorites. I think I'm going to ride the favorites right to the end. It's just I don't see. And normally in baseball, I'm an underdog guy. I love to bet underdogs. But you know what? I think I'm going to be more towards favorites going down the stretch. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, again, if this just continues, the underdogs did good for a couple days there, but the bottom line is it's a favorite market right now, and especially some of these big favorites are starting to cover at a huge rate. It's really tough because you're like me, Ron. You don't like to give out anything over minus 150, and you like to look for dogs, but you're almost leery to give any dog out right now. I mean, it's just been a season-long process here where the favorites continue to hit at a high rate.
You know what? I think I've given out one underdog in the last, say, 10 days.
Yeah.
It's just it was Tampa Bay against the Yankees. I'm just very reluctant to pick underdogs right now because unless they're playing a team that that is in the same type of cycle or category like an A or a B or a C type team. I won't bet against those favorites, those A type teams, because right now they're tough to. You don't know when they're going to lose. Like Tampa Bay, they're a tough team. They got a good series this weekend against Miami, but the Yankees, man, they're hurting right now. They need to get Stanton and Judge back because they are simply
Glaber,
not the same.
Torres, same thing. In the middle of your lineups out 3, 4, 5. So or 2, 3, 4, whatever you want to tab it as. Bullpen blew another game yesterday for the Yankees. That was supposed to be their strength.
Wow.
You lose to the Mets 9-7, a team that was struggling. They got to get those 3 guys back. They got to get Paxton back in the rotation, and the bullpen's got to improve. I mean, the bullpens, they're close to a 5 ERA this year, Ron, which I would have bet anything they'd be one of the top 5 bullpens in baseball, and that hasn't been the case.
Yeah, and don't look now. Those trades, the Blue Jays, have done pretty well. Like the Blue Jays got a bit of momentum. They won in the 10th or 11th inning last night. The 3-run shot by Hernandez, and then they got a little insurance, 6-2 win. Man, I'm really going to be looking at. I'm going to probably ride the Blue Jays down the stretch a bit here.
Yeah, look at the Blue Jays, the Blue Jays bullpen. Of late too, Ron. They've been very, very good in an era where we have to pay attention to the bullpen stats. Yeah,
Dolis came in last night, and man, he was in a sticky jam, but he got it through. And no, they look good. All right, a lot of double headers today, Ross. So I'll be throwing out a lot of plays out because I don't touch double headers. But I might look at that over in that first game with the Blue Jays and Red Sox because we talked about off air. That pitching matchup looks too good to be true. Now, first game, we got Minnesota taking on the Detroit Tigers. The computer forecast has the Twins here, 4.98, 4.78. The over-under set at 9.76. Now, Minnesota winning 2 of 3 against the White Sox, coming off a huge win in their last game of the 3-game series, 8-1. They got Randy Dobnak going up against Matthew Boyd today. Dobnak, he's been a good addition for the Twins this season. 5-1 in their last 6 when he starts. 1-4-1 to the under. They're on a 2-game win streak. Minnesota getting some respect here. Minus 160. I think this could have been higher.
Yeah. Detroit winning 6 of their last 7 are coming off that loss in their last game. Minnesota, again, 14-4 at home, 15-3 under the total at home. And the only thing I'd be leery about Dobnak is he's coming off his worst outing, and that was at Detroit against the what you consider to be a red-hot Detroit Tiger team right now. So, again, front half of a doubleheader, Ron, a lot of uncertainty. We might see a pitching change before an hour before game time. Just be real, keep an eye on that. Don't get down too early because you might get stuck with something you really didn't want.
Yeah, and you might not get the lineup you think you're getting, right?
Yes.
Because of all these double headers. Same thing here, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. Now I'm seeing 180 and the over-under at 6.5. It's almost like a hockey line, 6.5 when I started seeing that. Luis Castillo up against Stephen Bro. Man, Bro's having a really hard so are the Pirates. 0-5 for the Pirates in his last 5. And looking at but they're coming off a 6-2 win over the Cubs yesterday. And for Cincinnati, they're sending Luis Castillo to the mound. They're 2-4 in his last 6. And they're coming off a 4-3 win over the Cardinals. What do you like in this one?
Yeah, I'm leery of taking Cincinnati as a favorite in any spot right now. Luis Castillo, 1-6 in his team starts this year. Brault's 0-5, but you know what, Ron? He's only pitched. They're using him in. I think out of the 5 starts he's had this year, 4 of them have been 3 innings or less.
Okay.
So he's been on a strict pitch count. I think a lot of their failures aren't because of him. It's more because of their bullpen. So it's a game I'm going to steer clear of. I just don't see I can't take Pittsburgh, especially you're going to have to depend on their bullpen today. And I don't trust Cincinnati.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the Cincinnati on the year, 8-10 on the road, but 5-13-0 to the under. And when they face another team below 500 and when they're on the road, the under 2-10. So
yeah,
something you might want to consider. And Castillo can, he's shown sparks of
he's
really
capable.
Yeah,
especially against a bad hitting team like Pittsburgh.
All right, my team of the day. Any team that makes me money is my team of the hour. And right now, the Toronto Blue Jays, I'm going to that parade. And looking at the lineup, so this is where we got a late line here. And look at this score, 2.85, 2.45. So obviously that's an error in the computer because of all these late lines today. But going off last night's game, Taijuan Walker pitched a nice game, and so did Martin Perez. He had a no-no going into the 6th, but they broke up that party. And now you got Tanner Roark, Zach Godley. Man, I just wish this was a full 9-inning game because I'd be all over the over here.
Yeah, 2 struggling pitchers. Roark, 6 starts this year, a 5.33 ERA and a 1.78 WHIP. Yet Toronto went 5-1 in those games, which means he's getting a ton of run support, Ron. And then Zach Godley, 1-5 this year in his team starts, a 9.14 ERA, a 2.12 WHIP, 7 home runs allowed in 21 1/3 innings pitched. Ron, the wind's blowing out the right field, by the way, 9 to 10 miles an hour. Got to consider that when you're looking at an over, which I think you may be here. And, it's a good spot. I think this could be it's a high total for a 7-inning game, but rightfully so.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't know if you're like me, Ross, but I'm looking at now that I'm watching every game possible. There's certain teams that I track, like Chicago White Sox, Toronto Blue Jays. The lineup has so much hitting power that there's no, even like the 7, normally when you get to the 7, 8, 9th batter, you're like, oh God, I hope they can get a hit and now it's just, I don't sweat it. Like, especially Chicago White Sox. We'll get to them.
The White Sox, I mean, like the Reds I've talked about on certain occasions on our show here is that they depend way too heavily on the home run, and they do have some power. The White Sox, on the other hand, have a lot of power. They're leading the American League in home runs, and they hit for an average. They're one of the top hitting teams in baseball, too. So your point's well taken, Ron.
Yeah. When Lewis Roberts is your 7th guy, that's pretty good.
He's a 21-year-old stud is what he is. He hit a bomb last night. I don't know if you saw that. 458 feet.
Wow. Yeah. And, look at I'm looking at Toronto's lineup here. Biggio, Grichuk, Villar, Hernandez, Rowdy Tellez. Like, I didn't like the fact, I don't know if you watched that game, but they hit him. when he came in to pinch hit, and they hit him in the elbow. I know the announcers were saying, "Oh, this could start something," and Tellez gave a look to the dugout. Didn't like that tactic. Then you got Guerrero, Gurriel, Shaw, and Jansen. So this
watch
Toronto
out for the Blue Jays. So I think they're a year away myself. If they make the playoffs this year, it's a huge accomplishment. And I think they're going to. I mean, I like the moves they made, like you alluded to, Ron, at the trade deadline. Great young lineup, okay? A little bit inconsistent in the field and at the bat, but you come to expect that from a young team. But, boy, watch this team in the next 3-4 years. If they can keep this core group of young players together, they're going to be a force in the AL East, Ron.
Well, they got the bullpen. They got 2 of the 5 starters that are decent. And then, like Buck Martinez said yesterday, I love listening to Buck Martinez. Such a great analyst. And he says, when you get to the playoff, it's all about one thing, pitching.
Yep.
Washington taking on the Atlanta Braves. Now the Braves playing on 1 day's rest, coming off a 7-5 win. I don't know if they swept the Boston Red Sox in that series. I'll have to take a look here.
They did. They won all 3 games. So, and they won them all handily.
Yeah, probably as a favorite, right?
Yeah. Again, go ahead. We'll get to that. Let me let you finish.
Yeah, I don't want to take your thunder away there.
Yeah, exactly.
Tommy Malone taking on Austin Vaught. Now Vaught didn't look good in his last start, and the reason I know that is because I took him. And looking at today's forecast, 5.1, 4.1, the over/under 9.2. Nationals on a 6-game losing streak. A game yesterday, I thought that they really had a shot to win, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, Atlanta, 19-2 is a favorite this year. Just incredible. Not a very good underdog, obviously, but you don't have to worry about that today. And the Washington Nationals have just mailed it in. They've lost their last 6 and 9 of their last 10, Ron. With yesterday's loss, now if Tommy Malone is indeed the starting pitcher today for Atlanta, it's a moot point. But yesterday they lost to another right-handed starter in Washington this season. Something to keep an eye on going forward, folks. The Nationals are 4-21 this year against right-handed starting pitchers.
I was watching that game between the Angels and the Padres yesterday, and I saw Anthony Rendon. I said to myself, "What are you doing there? Get back to Washington. They need you."
No doubt. That was a huge loss.
Oh, huge loss. Speaking of losses, man, this was pretty big for the Yankees yesterday. 9-7 against their cross rival New York Mets. That was an unfortunate situation, and we're sounding like hit the rewind button and play, but they need Judge, they need Stanton. Looking at today's line, they're going up against Baltimore. Now this, you would say on paper the Yankees should go in there and win. Maybe I don't know if it's a 4 or 3 game series, but they got to win either 2 or 3 or 3 or 4 against the Orioles, because they can't be looking in the back the mirror, because they see the Blue Jays coming, and Baltimore too. They're not there this year, but 16-20 on the year. The Yankees 20-16. We have the Yankees having a hard time here today on the algorithm. 7.36, 5.88. The over/under at 13.24. 50% chance of winning. Now, I think this is a doubleheader. I don't know if this is the first or second game. I'll have to take a look. But I'm seeing D.V. Garcia against Alex Cobb. What do you got here, Ross?
Yeah, I got Alex Cobb, but at the time when I looked, the Yankees were undecided. Okay. It's the first game of the doubleheader, Ron. And here's the thing. Like Ron just alluded to, not only Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton missing from the lineup, Gleyber Torres as well. Yep. So you got your regular 2, 3, and 4 hitters in the lineup have been missing for a prolonged period of time. And like always, it didn't hinder them at first, but now as time goes on, when you have key players out, guys that step up all of a sudden aren't capable of that consistency that you need. Big disappointment, Ron, like I talked to you off air, is the Yankees bullpen this year. They blew another one yesterday. The good news for Yankee fans, 21-2 at Camden Yards since 2018.
And I got a little bit of news for you here. Breaking news, Ross.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Torres expected to return Saturday or Sunday in Baltimore.
Yeah, so that'll be a huge get. You
Yeah,
know?
that's good news if you're a Yankee fan, right?
Yeah, because he's not an injury-prone kid. You know, I mean, Stanton. You know, when you tell me Stanton and Judge are coming back, I've heard that too many times. Yeah, for how long? You know what I mean? Over the last few years, and I'm an avid Yankee fan. So,
It's like,
excuse me for, as Ron would term it, being very crusty when that subject comes up.
yeah, little boy cried wolf when you bring up that.
Yeah, yeah.
Minnesota taking on Detroit Tigers. Now the Minnesota minus 151. Over/under set at 6.5. Now this is the second one of the doubleheader, scheduled for 5:10 p.m. Eastern. Now no list of pitchers here, but again, the interesting series. Now it's one of those things, Ross. I think this game is going to start. It is in Minnesota, and then they're going to flip benches there at the next game, and then Detroit's the home team. I've seen that a few
Yeah.
times this year.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the era we live in, right, Ron?
Oh,
and
yeah.
basically, you're getting the last at bat because there's nobody in the crowd. Having said that, this is a huge series for Detroit. If they really have aspirations of shocking Major League Baseball and making the playoffs this year, they're at 17-17 right now. They're taking on the division leader. They handled them well at home the last time, sweeping them in 3 games. We'll see. This is going to go a long way in us knowing if Detroit is going to be a legitimate contender to grab one of those final American League playoff spots.
Yeah, and looking at the next game here, this is going to be a good game.
Yep.
Miami Marlins against the Tampa Bay Rays. Rays are just one of those teams I love watching. Even though I might not have them on my ticket that day, I just love watching Tampa Bay for some reason. They're just a good team to watch. And they're very competitive, and they do. And was it the manager Cash? Who's the GM for the Tampa Bay Rays? I think it's Kevin Cash or something like that.
Kevin Cash is a manager. Yeah.
Oh, the manager. Yeah. So good, good manager for the Rays. And you know what? Looking at today's game, Ross, Josh Fleming getting the nod here against Pablo Lopez. And Fleming he's a rookie, came up, a couple of starts. He's looked pretty good. And the bookmakers today have got them a minus 120 favorite. The over/under set at 8. ATS forecast computer pick going to go with the Rays in a low-scoring game. 3.59, 3.38. The over/under is 6.97. 42% chance of winning for the Marlins. 32 for the Rays. Again, Pablo Lopez is going to go for the Marlins. Now, both teams on 1 day's rest. My line on this game, I had Tampa Bay at minus 173 on the Raymond Report, and we're getting 120. So I feel we're getting really good value here, but a bit of concern when I see a line of minus 120 when I see our line should have 173. So about a $50 separation here. That's the only thing that concerns me here.
Yeah, I mean, you look, Pablo Lopez, his last 3 starts, a 2.10 ERA and a 1.17. 6 starts this year, a 2.10 ERA and a 1.17 WHIP, and he's averaging nearly 6 innings pitch per start. So this kid has pitched really, really good for Miami this year. You already mentioned Josh Fleming, 2 starts. He's been excellent with a 1.74 ERA and an 0.87 WHIP. An excellent outing by Lopez in his only start against Tampa Bay this year. And Fleming did have 1 start against Miami this year out of the 2 he's made. And he pitched scoreless baseball for 5 1/3 innings pitched. Tampa Bay 20-4 in their last 24. Miami 10-7 on the road this year, Ron. This is a game that scares me because Tampa Bay minus 120 looks too good to be true the way they're playing right now. If anything, I would tend to agree with my buddy on the other side of the table there and think this might be a low-scoring affair.
Yeah, no, it's I'm seeing some numbers here for Miami that I can see why a bit. Coming off when they're on the road, coming off a loss, they're 6-2 in their next game. So
and you know what, Ron? One other thing, Tampa Bay coming off a series against the Yankees, even though the Yankees aren't. I mean, they're still a winning team, but that's always a big series for the Rays. You know what I mean? And now they're coming home to face the what's perceived to be the lowly Marlins, right? Even though they're playing a lot better than they have in recent years, it's still the mindset, Ron. I got the Marlins at home. This is a gimme kind of game, so that's why the game scares me a bit.
Yeah, 12-5 this season at Tropicana Field for Tampa Bay, and they're 5-1 against B-type teams. And B-type teams in my system is teams that are 50 to 59.9%. So, you know what? I just again, I'm going to go with the SBI and still ride the favorites, and that's probably why I'm going to take Fleming, and hopefully he has another good outing. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, another doubleheader, very low-scoring game, 3.5 to 1.5. You've mentioned this many times, but look at it. Hey, we got a great pitch. Is this my guy? No, Cody Pond. I thought it was De Leon there. That's St. Louis. Yeah. Trevor Bauer, though. Trevor Bauer going for the Reds here today against Cody Ponce. This is game number 2, or this might be, yeah, that's a 7:05 start. Again, doubleheader. I don't touch them. But how do you go with Trevor Bauer in this one?
Yeah, I mean, you would think that pitching matchup, I think Cody Ponce, this will be his first ever start in Major League Baseball, if I'm not mistaken. Trevor Bauer, you know, in a 7-inning game, he's capable of pitching a complete game for you, and he might have to, depending on what happens in game 1 of this doubleheader. You would think everything leans towards Cincinnati, but at minus 180, like I said, I don't trust the Reds. And I'd be a little bit skeptical even going with a run line play in a 7-inning game.
Yeah, just since here's another thing that I don't like. I don't like taking heavy prices on losing teams.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense. It's just.
Well, yeah, you're asking again. There's 2 bad teams if you really want to take a look. If you want to categorize, especially when you're A, B, and C theory.
Yeah.
But you know, you're right, Ron. You don't ask bad teams to do good things for you, and especially at this price.
Yeah, it'd be like paying $20 for a Big Mac or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Bad analogy, but it works.
Milwaukee, no, it's well taken. You're overpaying for them, correct?
Milwaukee taking on the Cleveland Indians. Now the Tribe, a 140 price here, coming off a 5-0 win. And you've alluded to this many times, that bullpen in Cleveland, you get to the 6th inning, just good night, Irene. They're just pretty deep there. Milwaukee, Jekyll and Hyde type season. I just don't know how to take really, you got it. This is a perfect example of the Raymond Report of when to get a team in a cycle. And speaking of dogs, there's an underdog price. yeah. And you got Corbin Burns going up against Carlos Carrasco today. And the over 4-1-2 in the Carrasco starts this year, Ross. But you know what? Not a bad price when you think about it. Minus 140 with a pitcher that's 4-3 for the Tribe in his last 7.
Yeah, and he might be the weak link in the starting rotation. 4-3 with a 3.75 ERA and 131 WHIP. And folks, when we refer to records, we don't look at the decisions. We look at team starts. Exactly. That's what matters. Okay. Because at the end of the day, decisions don't make us money. Team starts do. How the record, how the team fares with that particular or specific pitcher on the mound that day. If Milwaukee was having trouble hitting and been struggling hitting all year like they have, boy, oh boy, it's going to be a nightmare going into Cleveland against that pitching staff. But if there's a vulnerable spot in the Cleveland rotation right now, it's Carlos Carrasco. Albeit, though, he in 2 starts in 2018 against Milwaukee, which was the last time he faced them against a similar lineup that was hitting much better at the time. Carrasco was excellent, allowing only 3 earned runs in 16 innings pitched. The Milwaukee bullpen, Ron, struggling over the last 7, a 6.10 ERA. To me, this price is a good value for Cleveland. I actually had him at minus 135. You got him at minus 140. We're in the same ballpark. But you haven't said that. It's under minus 150 on a team that I think right now, and Cleveland's starting to hit too, Ron. I mentioned this on a couple occasions. Could you imagine if they start hitting, Ron? And they have over the last 7 games. So it looks like a good spot for the favorite in this situation.
My only concern here with Cleveland is this. They're in a dogfight with Chicago and Minnesota, so they're going to be scoreboard watching a bit. They might be pressing, and their record at home is not that.
Yeah.
For a team that's really dominant.
They're much better on the road. Yep.
Yeah, they're 9-7 at home, 8-5. Atlanta Brave syndrome right there. That's the only thing that concerns me with Cleveland right now is for some reason at home cooking doesn't do well for them.
No, and I would bet out of those 16 games, they were favorites in 14 or 15 of those games. So you're definitely losing money back in the Indians at home this year.
Yeah, and against C-type teams at home this year, they're 5-4 and 4-5-0 to the under. Where Milwaukee against the alpha type teams, not a bad road record, 6-4, 5-5-0. So be careful on that game because those to me those are a bit of indicators to make me think twice. Philadelphia taking on the New York Mets. Now Mets, this is a big win for them yesterday. Now they got to get back, back at home at Citi Field, taking on Philadelphia Phillies. A Phillies team that's done very well of late. Winner 4 straight. They're sending Jake Arrieta up against Rick Porcello. Boston wishes that Porcello was probably in their lineup, but maybe not because the Mets are 1-5 in his starts in the last 6. But looking at the price here, 125. A little surprising that they'd be favored here by minus 125 against a hot Phillies team. And when I look at this Philadelphia Phillies team in their last few games, they're not doing too bad. They are 9-1. That's not too bad when you're only 9-1 in your last 10. Ross?
Yeah, and the only loss was that Sunday night game where they stormed back and just fell short against Atlanta after being down 10. I would say this, Ron. Look, Rick Porcello, you just mentioned him. He would fit right in the Boston rotation right now because he's 1-6 in his team starts this year with a 6.00 ERA. Arrieta, concerning to me. Last 3 starts, a 10.13 ERA and a 2.06 WHIP. That last start he pitched, it was their only loss in the last 11 games. Where he pitched at Atlanta and lasted an inning and a third and gave up 7 earned runs. And also, keep this in mind, he has not pitched well at Citi Field since 2018 or since 2015, Ron. 4 starts at Citi Field for Arrieta in a 8.20 ERA. And so he hasn't pitched well there as well. So I could see why, to a degree, that the Mets are favored. But I think if you're going to be looking for that odd dog that cashes in these days, Philadelphia might be well worth a look here.
Yeah, I agree. Doubleheader here again, the second game, Boston, Toronto. Looks like Ross Stripling's going to go up against Chris Mazza of the Boston Red Sox. Again, doubleheader. So we already gave our opinion on that one. Did you want to add anything to this?
Yeah, nice. We'll see how Stripling does. Nice acquisition from the LA Dodgers. Was struggling a bit with LA this year, but change of scenery might do him a lot of good. Same thing with Robbie Ray. I really like, again, can't emphasize enough the 2 moves to add to that starting rotation with Stripling and Ray, and then Taijuan Walker as well. Yeah,
Chicago White Sox taking on the Kansas City Royals. To a pick that we both had yesterday, Ross. We had the White Sox, and no, I got caught yesterday, and I'll tell you what I did. I had the over in the Angels San Diego game, and 2 hitting teams that I thought that could back-to-back games could probably produce more overs. Wasn't the case. San Diego couldn't hit yesterday, and Angels got 2. So I think it was a 2-0 win. Or it was a low-scoring game. I know we didn't catch that ticket.
2-0 win. 2-0, Ron. You're right.
Now, is Chicago a team today that you can trust after scoring 11 runs, or are they going to pull another San Diego and just leave the bats and like they did in that Minnesota series, right? They had that really good first game against the Twins, and then didn't show up for the second and third. But Kansas City's not Minnesota.
Yeah, well, the White Sox 11-6 yesterday, Ron?
Yeah,
they won. Yeah, so this year 11-1 after a win by 4 runs or more. So that answers your question, I think, if you're asking me that specifically.
Oh, for the total. No, I was looking more for the total. I know they.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Okay, but anyway, it's 11-6, 11-6 win yesterday, and they've gone 11-1 this year after a win by 4 runs or more. Also, Kansas City 3-20 this since 2018 against American League teams with a slugging percentage of .450 or better, and the White Sox right now are at .474. So and the White Sox 6-1 this year against Kansas City, and that includes 4-0 in Kansas City. So again, it's a little steep of a price. And Dane Dunning I think he made a start at Kansas City or at home against Kansas City and was dominant in that outing. So it's hard to fade the White Sox against this Royals team right now that struggles to hit.
Yeah, and like I said with the Cleveland, like Cleveland, Minnesota, Chicago, these guys, they're a bit of pressure, right? Like well, every game's a pressure game, but knowing that you don't have any breathing room, every at bat counts type thing.
Yeah.
And looking at the forecast, 5 to 4.140 over at 9.14, so it does like it to go over the total. The Kogo at 46%. We had the White Sox at minus 168, so right there at fair market value. And as you alluded to, Chicago does very well after a win.
And then Chicago, the White Sox too. Talking about their slugging percentage, 68 home runs in 38 games this year, Ron. Best in the American League. They hit 3 more yesterday at Kansas City.
Yeah, and in the Raymond Report, when they're on the road against a C-type team, they're 5-0 on the season. So they beat the beatables, and that's what you got. That's all you can ask for. Yep. St. Louis taking on the Cubs now. Yu Darvish gets the ball today against Jack Flaherty. That's a good pitching matchup. I thought they pitched a couple of weeks ago in St. Louis. That was a good matchup too. And looking at the price, 140. It could be. Let me just double check here. That was this morning. I know the over under was 8. Now it's at 8. So 130 I'm seeing on the Cubs. So price is coming down on Yu Darvish a bit. But looking at St. Louis, 5.37, 3.92 for the Cubs, and 9.29. And Chicago coming off a tough loss yesterday. Was that just a one and done type thing and get back home and play
one of those they look like
games?
the White Sox did the day before, where they got blown out at Minnesota. It was almost like they couldn't wait to get out of town, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And same thing with the Cubs. Again, Pittsburgh's knocked off some teams at home this year where we didn't expect them to. Having said that, this is a really good pitching matchup, like you alluded to, Ron. Yu Darvish, right now, you can make a very, very strong case for the National League Cy Young Award. Jack Flaherty, a great young pitcher for St. Louis, very underrated. The only thing that would scare me on the under here is the fact that both bullpens struggle, although the Cubs' bullpen has been much better of late against weaker competition. And the Cardinals' bullpen has really struggled over the last 7 games, and the wind is blowing out at Wrigley Field today.
Yeah, and after starting 13-3, they've cooled off quite a bit here. So, you know what? If you do like St. Louis, I think this might be a good spot because now you're getting Chicago in a pretty down cycle. Let me see. They're neutral right now in the rain report, and neutral means they're either 3-4, 4-3 in their last 7 games.
They're like 9-13 in their last 22 games, something in that area. Don't quote me exactly, but if it's not exact, it's pretty close.
Yeah, so struggling.
And that
right
goes
now.
hand in hand to what you said with the 13-3 start.
Yeah, Houston taking on the Angels. Now the Stros a minus 114 price. The over/under set 8.5. Forecast going to go with Lance McCullers Jr. up against Dylan Bundy of the Angels. 5.11, 4.21. The over/under 9.32. Chance of this game going over the totals at 46%. And you know what? Looking at this game here, 38% chance of winning for Houston, who are coming off a 8-4 win over our guy yesterday, Lance Lynn. And Angels 2-0 win over the Padres. And I'm just going to bring up this game on my rain report to see if there's any goodies to share along right here. And no, nothing. Oh, you know what? If you do like the over, combine, when the rain report strength of schedule, I got a system that's 7-0-3 to the over for both these teams. And you know what? I don't know. When I see what's the total here, 8.5.
Yeah,
that seems a little low for 2 hitting teams.
It certainly does. There's 8.5 and there's a 9s out there too as well. And Dylan Bundy, one of the best names in baseball, one of Ron's favorite names.
For poke eye.
Yeah, exactly. 3-0 over in his last 3 starts with a 153 whip. How about Lance McCullers Jr.? 3 starts on the road this year, 11.37 ERA and a 2.05 whip. Now, that's horrible. These teams have met 6 times this year, Ron. 5 have gone over. The other one was a push, and both bullpens have been struggling. And then you also have Dylan Bundy, who's I had a stat on him, and I can't seem to locate it here. Here we go. Dylan Bundy, since 2018, Ron, 1-21 in his team starts versus American League teams averaging 4.9 or more runs per game. Right now, Houston's averaging 5.3 runs per game. So he's been pretty terrible, let's put it that way, in these types of situations against offensively potent teams.
Yeah, I just don't like this total. Like, there's something that smells fishy to me. It's like it looks too easy to take the over here. But
No, I agree. I mean, but sometimes we could be guilty of overthinking things too.
yeah,
You know?
absolutely. Just like I was yesterday in the Padres-Angels game. Texas taking on Seattle. Now the Mariners, a 132, seems to have been played forever. 3 days rest. I think it's more than that, but maybe not. 132 is the price here against Kyle Cody up against Yusei Kikuchi of the Mariners. The forecast, however, going to lean finally against the Texas Rangers, 4.5, 4.35, the over-under at 8.85. So it does like it to go over the total. Texas on a 2-game losing streak, where Seattle now on a 2-game winning streak. Last 2 have gone under the total. And looking at this game here, you know what? It's 2 C-type teams. And to me, I think if you're going to go with the SBI, you might like the Mariners in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, 2 teams headed in opposite directions too. C-type teams, but give the Mariners credit. They won 7 of their last 10 games, so not bad. And they also in a series against Texas a couple weeks ago at home, they swept the Rangers in 3 games. The Rangers, by the way, 3-14 in their last 17 games. Kyle Cody, he'll be making his first Major League Baseball start ever for the Rangers today. The Texas bullpen struggling, the Seattle bullpen struggling, and Texas has gone over the total in 12 of 17 road games this year, Ron. So, and Kikuchi, 12-0 over the total since last year, when the money line is plus 125 to minus 125. Not sure where that fits there. I had Seattle at minus 109. You got them at minus 132. They might have went up since I looked last.
Yeah. And you know what? Texas has not done well on the road against division opponents, 1-8, and they're 0-6 coming off a road loss as an underdog. And they're 0-5 on the road versus lefties. So not a good spot here for the Texas Rangers.
And a decent price. You know what I mean? You're looking, I don't know what is it. Did you look at that just now, the minus 132?
No, that was this morning. So let me take a look real quick here. 130, let me see here. Seattle, 132. Yeah, all over the board, 130.
Okay. So still a decent price. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Colorado taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Again, Dodgers coming off a win, 5-1. Colorado, I got to give them credit. And I was watching that game the other afternoon when they're playing San Francisco. And I think it was either, I don't know if it was the Colorado announcers or the San Fran, but it was 6-1 at one point for San Fran. And the announcer goes, had we been in any other stadium, that'd be a comfortable lead. But I don't feel good right now at 6-1 in this stadium. And sure enough, when I tuned in, I saw the final 9-6. I said, man, that guy knew what he was talking about. And the final 9-6. Antonio Sensatella going today for the Rockies up against Dustin May, the wiffle ball thrower, as Harold Reynolds labeled him about a month ago. Now, Dodgers on a 5-game win streak. The last 2 have gone under the total. Easy win last night, 5-1 against the Arizona Diamondback. Wasn't as easy the night before when they needed Mookie Betts to lead off the 9th with a homer to tie and then win in extra innings. But big price here, $240. You know what? It's almost like if you got beer money or coffee money, I throw it on Colorado just for fun, because I'll never lay $240 unless I'm playing it in a parlay.
Even if you decided, okay, let me go on the run line and try to catch some value there, I still think you're going to be laying. I didn't look at the run line, but I'm guessing the Dodgers would be even minus 140 or minus 145 on the run line off the top of my head. And Colorado hasn't played bad on the road this year. But this seems like they're going to be overmatched in this particular matchup. One good thing with Colorado, I think they're 17-18 on the year, if I'm not mistaken, Ron. And they're either currently sitting in the number 8 seed in the National League, or a half a game out, if I'm not mistaken. So as bad as things have been lately, that 11-13 or 11-3 start to the year is keeping them in the race for that final final playoff spot in the National League.
Yeah, so I'm seeing on the run line they're minus 120.
Oh, that's not bad then.
Yeah, that's not too
It
bad.
seems like an awful low number considering they're 240 on the money line.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to get the league. So right now, Colorado 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, you're right. There are 2 games. St. Louis sitting there at the 8th, and Colorado and San Fran are sitting there at 18.
Half a game behind.
Half a game behind. You're right.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah. Hey, you know what? Anything can happen in this COVID era, right?
Yeah.
Looking at this game here, Ross, Washington, Atlanta. This is the second doubleheader. This will be a 7-10 pitch, and it looks like Will Crow against Josh Tomlin, but that could change. Just refer to your local.
And again, 4-21 Washington against right-handed pitching this year. So if it's Josh Tomlin, keep that in mind because he's a right-hander.
Yeah, and we all know Atlanta is a home favorite, or a favorite, not matter.
Yeah.
Tough to beat. And the Yankees and the Orioles, second game, 8:05. And again, the starting pitcher could change on us, as it does all day, right? But I'm showing DV here. I'm showing DV Garcia against Jose Lopez, but they got Harley and undecided. So again, check your the standings or your books, sports books, or your wherever you get your starting pitchers to see if there's any changes. Any thoughts on the second game, Ross?
Not really. I mean, again, the Yankees 21-2 in their last 23 at Camden Yards. If it is DV Garcia, that has all the. It looks to me like the Yankees are going to try to patch that together with their bullpen. You know, he'll probably go 2 innings to start the game, and then they'll try to patch everything in. But again, Ron, you're right. I mean, that's the kind of game in this era right now that the Yankees, if they win the first game, their approach might be different, you know, in the second game. And if they happen to lose the first game, maybe they might try to get somebody in there that's going to give them some innings, especially if the bullpen gets taxed in their first game. So it's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to doubleheaders, Ron, especially now in this era right now where teams are playing a ton of doubleheaders. They're squeezing a lot of games into a short amount of time. Unless there's like what you said earlier, Ron, in that first game of the doubleheader with Toronto with 2 struggling starting pitchers, something that sticks out to you and glaringly so, I would stay away from doubleheader action.
Yeah, just trying to check the 80% club stats. I don't see them being generated just yet because that's all the line moves this morning. So I'll take a look at the streaks. I'll try to generate these stats as we talk here. Looking at the win streak here, Dodgers on a 5-game win streak, Atlanta 4-game, Philly 4-game. So if you do follow streaks, those are some you want to consider. Washington on a 6-game losing streak, Arizona on a 5-game losing streak, Boston a 4, Kansas City a 3-game losing streak. And for over-unders, you got the Mets on a 4-game over streak, Milwaukee at 3 overs, and Toronto, surprisingly enough, the last 4 have gone under after we talked about that hitting team. That's a bit surprising to see that the last 4 have gone under.
They're getting good pitching, Ron. They're getting good pitching, and they're getting good bullpen work. So
no, absolutely. So no, it's interesting to see right there. All right, so I just bought us enough time here, Ross, to get the 80% club stats.
All right.
Yeah, I won't let you down on a Friday, folks. You know, like a good reliever, I came into the 9th and I got you guys some good stats here. All right, I don't know if they're good, but let's see if they're worth talking about here. The Minnesota Twins, 10-1 as a home team, coming off a 7-run win. And I'll be very careful because I had a great stat yesterday on the over on San Diego coming off a 7-run win. They were 21-5-3 coming off a 7-run win. So I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole today. And
yeah, but you know, Ron, it's that one theory that your one buddy used to use, and I looked it up, and it's pretty good. A home team coming off a home win by 7 runs or more in the previous game.
Yeah, the slaughter theory. Yeah, no, you're right. So if you do like the Twins, there's a nice little stat there supporting it. The under is 2-11-0 to the under for the Reds as an away team coming off a National Conference opponent this season. So, you know, Castillo starting, there's a doubleheader. Castillo's not a bad choice right there. And let me see here. The over is 8-0-2 for the Pirates as a 160-180 home underdog coming off National Conference opponent the last 4 years.
You got to change that, Ron. National League.
National League, sorry.
Yeah, you got to get on our programmer there and change that to.
I'll send that to the technical team, the technical writers.
Exactly. So
yeah. So yeah, those are the 80% club stats here today, Ross. Again, folks, because we do the show early in the morning, sometimes it's best that we don't force a play here for a showing. I don't know if I can't see you there. My screen went blank on me here. Oh, there you are. There's Ross. And yeah, can you see?
You're blank. I can't see you now.
Okay,
but it's okay.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Yeah, and yeah. So Ross, free plays. I think it was the first time ever this season we both had the Chicago White Sox on our free pick page yesterday. And if you were a visitor and you saw that Ross and I were on that play, then you must have felt good saying, "Hey, there's two handicappers liking the White Sox. Why not take them again with us?" Right? Yeah. Our free plays, Ross. I'll have mine posted between 2 and 4 Eastern at atsstats.com. NFL football season's coming. Right now, you can get a 25% off membership plan discount just by using promo code NFL 2020. That's NFL 2020, and you can get 25% off. And guys, NFL football season, Ross is geared up. He's been doing previews since February, as the team say, and
all through the COVID shutdown.
Yeah, first time ever he's ever done a weekly video.
All 32 teams, Ron, at the OS. Matter of fact, folks, if I could just interject, Ron, I didn't mean to cut you off there,
No
but all 32 teams regular season win total projections. That's regular season win total odds. I either pick over or under on each of the 32 teams in the NFL. 32 separate videos, Ron. You can get that right now at the OSGA YouTube channel. And Ron's got some of them up at his YouTube channel as well, the Raymond Report.
Yeah, and I'll put a couple up this weekend too, Ross. We'll talk about off air. I'll get a couple of those videos up in our NFL section on ATS. And again, we'll have our free picks. I know you'll have some up at your site or your OSGA channel. I'll have them up here. And we'll have our premium picks, right? And if people, hey, Ross, if people want to go into the weekend riding your coattail, where can they get those picks?
They can go to my website. That's rbwins.com. That's R's and Ross, B's and Benjamin wins, which I do on a consistent basis.com. And they could also get them at atsstats.com. Again, my subscription plans, folks, I can't make it any easier or make you feel any more secure. 7-day or 30-day plan includes all sports, all games that I put out. And if you're not making a profit at the end of that subscription, I will continue on with you until you do, before I ask you for any money. So you need to make that initial investment. And then once that's made, then I give you that guarantee. And we move on from there. But again, free picks, folks, 3-1 this week. Ron mentioned Chicago White Sox, easy winner yesterday. My MLB free pick videos you could find at OSGA YouTube channel, or you can get them at my page at atsstats.com, where Ron gets them up for me there as well.
Yeah, and if you're interested in my selections, had a pretty good day yesterday, 2-1 with the winners with the Blue Jays, and also you can get the premium picks at atsstats.com. All right, there you have it. That was the Friday edition of the Raymond Reports Sports Betting Podcast for Friday, September 4th. Hopefully you guys have yourself a great rest of your weekend. As always, shop for value, play those percentages. We'll see you back shortly with another Raymond Report.